Hey 6-8, happy Wednesday, halfway through this week, and hopefully you're having a great week. Hopefully you're having just a little bit more fun this week, so you could classify this week as funner than last week. But anyway, we're going through our daily coaching tips for 1 John chapter 3, verse 2 through 10, and I just want to read through that. I got 3 points I want to make on that as we get into today's topic of talking about how this applies to my church family. Beloved, we are God's children now, and what we will be has not yet appeared, but we know that when he appears we shall be like him, because we shall see him as he is. And everyone who thus hopes in him purifies himself as he is pure. Everyone who makes a practice of sinning also practices lawlessness. Sin is lawlessness. You know that he appeared in order to take away sin, and in him there is no sin. No one who abides in him keeps on sinning. No one who keeps on sinning has either seen him or known him. Little children, let no one deceive you. Whoever practices righteousness is righteous as he is righteous. Whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil, for the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. No one born of God makes a practice of sinning, for God's seed abides in him, and he cannot keep on sinning because he has been born of God. By this it is evident who are the children of God and who are the children of the devil. Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of God, nor is the one who does not love his brother. And right there at the very end, we're gonna take our cue from that last phrase. It's going to help set us up, lead us into next week and what John is talking about. But it's also pertinent to what we're talking about right now. No one is of God. No one is born of God who does not love his brother. And here we're talking about my church family. How does this passage apply to my church family, and how's it going to relate? And sometimes it may feel like it's a challenge to apply this, but I think today it's actually pretty easy, because the point of being a church family is this last phrase, unconditionally loving one another. And I think in our modern day and age, we've kind of warped and twisted what church family is. It's for some of us, it is still that, loving one another. Actually, for a lot of us in our church, we are well above and well ahead of the curve when it comes to being a solid, biblically functioning church family. Not to brag, it's just I think God has brought us a lot of awesome people. You're one of those awesome people. But we're ahead of the curve in actually loving like we should love. But at the same time, not everyone who calls 6-8 Church their home is loving like we ought to love. And I think there are really 3 main aspects that this applies to, and how we can look at this and bring love to one another. And you may be a little bit frustrated, but let me just get to it. The first one is community, and taking it upon myself to build community with other believers. The second one is serving, and taking it upon myself to serve. And the third one is giving, or tithing, and taking it upon myself to tithe and give back to God out of what he's given to me. Now, those 3 areas, if you go to many churches, oftentimes you'll find a lot of pleas, you'll find a lot of urging, you'll find a lot of persuasion going on to try to get you to do those 3 things, because they are biblical. They are very much a part of who we're supposed to be as a community. But oftentimes it'll seem like we're trying to twist arms to get people to do those things, when the reality is what we need to be doing is trying to get people to understand that it is my responsibility. That's why we're doing all this My 6-8 stuff that we've been talking about for a while, because it's my responsibility to be in community with other believers. And if it's always on the church to create that community for you, then you're always going to be disappointed. But if you, or if I, take responsibility to build community among other believers, then I will always have community around me, because I understand it's important. I'm going to do it to make sure that it happens. So I have to take responsibility. Same thing with serving. If I'm always waiting for someone to ask me to serve, I'm always going to be frustrated that people are asking me to serve. But if I take it on myself, if I take the responsibility on me to decide I'm going to serve and I'm going to get plugged into a place where I can make a difference, then I will always have joy in serving, because, well, we're playing, it's on our terms, right? I mean, that's one thing, that's one benefit of it, but we're actually taking the initiative to do it, so we receive awards out of it instead of feeling like we're being guilted and twisted into doing it. The same thing with giving and tithing. God gives us all of this money. He chose for you to be born where you are, and he gave you the skills and the talents that allow you to earn the money that you earn and your income and all of that. So God has given you this gift of the money that you have coming in, and he expects us to give him that first 10%. That's called tithing. It's in Malachi chapter 3. And if you want to go look that up, that's Malachi chapter 3, verse 6, where he talks about tithing. And actually, if you want to look about serving, you can go to Malachi chapter 3, verse 13, where he also talks about serving God and how that's important. And so I think what we need to do if we're going to really love our church family and be unconditionally devoted to our church family is that we all need to make sure we're stepping up the way we need to in community and service and in tithing. Because if we don't, we leave the others hanging. If we don't, we put an unfair and unequal burden on the rest of the community to kind of step up and do that for us. We need to all carry the weight of what God has given us to do, because God has given the mission to all of us to make disciples. It's not just on the few who decide to do it, but all of us who are disciples have to make disciples. So we all need to carry the weight, carry the burden equally. And that's how we can love one another. We can love one another unconditionally by not expecting others around us to carry the burden for us, but that we're going to step up and we're going to carry the weight together. So I think that's how we can apply this passage to my church family today. I could do a whole sermon series on that. There's a lot of good stuff. So go read Malachi chapter 3, go read 1 John chapter 3 again, and let that really soak in. But I just encourage you, if you're not stepping up in those areas, community, service, and giving and tithing, then step up. You make the choice today to step up. Don't make someone come and twist your arm to try to get you. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow, Thursday, for another daily coaching tip.